Good morning everybody, and welcome to this webinar from Wavelength, considering when selling and deploying enterprise wireless LAN. So what we want to do is welcome all partners that may not be on board with us yet and introduce ourselves to you, and specifically focus on the Fortinet, or formerly Maru, enterprise wireless LAN solution. So the intention of today is to firstly welcome you, talk you through a little bit about what Wavelength do, who we are, and some of the value adds that we deliver to our partner network, and how we like to. So we'll be talking a bit about us firstly, and then we will discuss in further depth the services that we can offer to our channel and relate that specifically to a project that we rolled out in recent history to try and paint a picture for you. If you have any questions, you should find a questions box in your control panel on the right hand side of your screen. Please feel free to type questions throughout the presentation, and they may well be answered in that chat window as well, and then we can also do some Q&A towards the end of the presentation. My name is Chris Pulsford. I am the Southern Region Pre-Sales Manager, and I'll be delivering part of the presentation, and Wavelength's Managing Director, Ilan Rubin, will start the presentation for you and talk about Wavelength. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Ilan Rubin to discuss Wavelength.
Great, thanks Chris. Good morning everyone, and welcome to this webinar. It's the first of our forays into the Fortinet world in terms of talking to existing partners and new partners of the value and the work we do within the wireless space for Wavelength as part of our new relationship with Fortinet that occurred early this year after they acquired Maru last year. The main thing we're going to do today is really not try and focus too much on product, but really talk about what is wireless and the different considerations are required when selling and deploying the wireless LAN into enterprise. The different needs are required within that, each of the verticals, which I'll go into, and then gives you a good idea of the type of work we do from a distribution perspective that differentiates us to anyone else. For those who don't know much about Wavelength, we've been around for about 17 years, very focused on wireless, enterprise mobility and UC solutions. The different products we choose really blend into driving us into various verticals, which I'll go into in the next slide. But I guess the first few things we'll roll into is around who is Wavelength, what do we do, and what do we do to assist our partners in getting business. We really call it our 5 pillars, which is, firstly, we're going to the sales aspect, which is around obviously managing the channel, developing sales strategies, working with the channel in assisting you in being able to deliver more rounded solutions back to your customers. And we promote the products quite heavily into the channels, and we're a channel-only company. Ultimately, we will work with the channel and alongside the channel in many cases, and also try and uplift as many opportunities we can from a sales perspective to get you in front of more customers. We then roll into what we do in our second pillar, which is around pre-sales. And this is really a cornerstone of a lot of our specialisation, which is really about being able to scope solutions, build bill of materials, quotations, do product demonstrations, assist in POCs, in deployment tender assistance. And probably the third point in that particular aspect, which is things like predictive surveys, is how we can assist when you have an opportunity to actually do predictive surveys, to at least give some stake in the ground. That's a value that we feel is very significant to the partners. We use Ekahau tools, we have them in all our offices. We then roll that in when an opportunity comes in, and Chris will talk more to that when he talks about a specific opportunity and how we actually saw that opportunity, I guess, from paddock to plate to the customer. We run different marketing activities, include demand generations and PR, different promotions, vendor-driven events, and also channel events. So if you have any events that you want to run as a channel partner, we run that in conjunction with the vendors to be able to deliver events to your customers, obviously to drive more sales and opportunity. Our fourth pillar is really aimed around things like enablement, which are things such as sales and technical certification, different levels of education, both sales and technical, product webinars, vertical awareness, which is a lot of what we're doing today, and driving vendor onboarding programs. And I guess one of the last pillars which differentiates heavily is around post-sales. So unlike most distribution channels where their view of the world stops when the sale is made. Once you've purchased the product, then you go back to the vendor. You can come back to Wavelength, receive Tier 1, Tier 2 technical support. We do vendor escalations required. We do RMAs, project management, installation configuration assistance, and on-site assistance is required as well. So these are the 5 pillars that differentiates us from what we believe is significant value that we provide back to the partner community that either A, vendors don't provide at the same level to all partners, or alternatively other distribution channels with other products as well. When we look at our, when we look at who we are and what we do around the value-added distributor of enterprise mobility solutions, by virtue of those exact words, enterprise mobility, you automatically find we sit into certain verticals, which is healthcare, retail, logistics, hospitality, and education. Within each of those verticals, the requirement for mobility is really significant, and that's where we've seen the advent of Wi-Fi or wireless as a whole being driven over quite a long period of time. Wi-Fi specifically has gone into those particular verticals more heavily in the last 5 to 7 years with the pervasiveness of different applications and devices coming into those enterprise environments. As we then go into each of those verticals, we look at each of the use cases that are driven with each of those verticals. So if you look at something like a healthcare, we've got things like Wi-Fi, guest access, voice requirements, duress, messaging, task allocation, location, video requirements. All those aspects drive the need for an enterprise-grade wireless network, which ultimately requires quite a lot of knowledge to be able to. As you go down to retail, logistics, hospitality, and education, these are all markets we've worked really extensively over quite a period of time. They give a high, what we believe, high specialisation of knowing what the requirements are within those markets, and then the types of products that we choose to be able to sell into them. And as we talk about products, our main driver is really driving around the application and the product, fitting into the use cases, into the vertical, that then provide a complete solution in the mobility and the UC component. And there's certain products we will integrate with, there's certain products that are third party, and there's certain products that we provide. We won't spend much time on product, but from the application perspective, you've got things like LAS, which is a messaging solution for healthcare, Purple Wi-Fi, which is an analytics solution for retail. There's a lot of focus for us going into analytics and control of a network. There's soon to be some more product announcements within both the application space and the product space sometime next 4 to 6 weeks that even strengthens our product set more so for each of those use cases and verticals. Then we look at Life as a LMS and onboarding solution with filtering security. And then in the product space, we've got the SpectraLink solutions with the voice product, the Fortinet, which is around the Wi-Fi infrastructure. And with that, one of the big aspects for us in the coming months is how we strengthen our different products portfolio that Fortinet have into the channel. That's not necessarily just around the security. There's a lot of products that Fortinet have that we didn't have access to before that once again build into the use case and the verticals, and Digium is an IP PBX solution. We then wrap up things like services in ability to scope, design, implement and support those solutions. It doesn't mean we do them. We will work with the partners to be able to assist them to get these solutions into the customers. If we look today, what we're going to talk about specifically is around healthcare, the requirements within healthcare and how we helped a partner that had an opportunity, and that's all it was just an opportunity to basically deliver a solution that was nothing they actually did before for that particular partner to expand their customer base significantly, and Chris will talk significantly to that of how we held that the opportunity to the time with this particular customer over an 18-month period approximately. We're just using one as a specific example within healthcare, but there's others that we've done in the retail, logistics, hospitality, education space that wrap around much what I've discussed just now. So I'll hand it over to Chris. If you have any questions, I'll be here at the end of it session to be able to go through any of these questions or requirements you have. So over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Warren. So yeah, I'll be addressing these services as discussed. Also wanted to point out, as I mentioned, I'm the Southern Region pre-sales engineer for Wavelength. We also have a Northern Region. So, it's not just one person who's able to assist our partner channel with this from within Wavelength. We have numerous resources that can manage that. So the example that we want to discuss today is Royal Freemasons Benevolent Institute, and since it's a bit of a mouthful, I'll refer to them as RFBI from this point on. So basically I want to use this as a use case to explain how Wavelength can partner with our resellers to deliver solutions across multiple sites for, in this case, RFBI. This is a good one because it has quite a large number of sites, and one of the aims of the organisation was to standardise their technology base across all those sites. In this case, as Alan said, we worked with a partner because of the scope of the project, the desire of this particular customer to have direct contact with the vendor representative, which is us, and the partner's desire also to tap into our skills and knowledge in wireless LAN and voice over Wi-Fi. So while we were very active in this particular case, this was also a great opportunity for us to fulfill that enablement piece for our partner, who has since very much expanded their skills in the area and much more self-sufficient going forward in this technology set that we're dealing with here. So hopefully the idea, of course, is to demonstrate how we add value to our partners depending on their needs. In some cases, our partners will request Wavelength to assist with one or more of the deployment aspects, which we'll discuss in the next few slides. In other cases, they'll have gone through our enablement program and are fully self-sufficient, and any mix thereof. And some partners will want to focus purely on the sales because they may be a very sales-focused organisation, and then look to us to assist with the professional services through our partner channel as well. So we can offer any mix of those delivery methods of our services. The main point that we will look at in the following slides is what are the various services that we offer to our resellers to be successful in winning business and delivering the successful outcomes for their customers. And Alana alluded to the fact we've been around quite a long time. In terms of the wireless LAN we're discussing, we've been the distributor exclusively for APAC prior to the Fortinet acquisition of Maru Networks for 8 years or so. So I built up our skills and expertise in the product, and which is something that's really critical in allowing us to deliver this, or these benefits that we're discussing. Prior to completing this project that we're talking about, RFBI ran a mix of disparate technology solutions across their various sites, so maintaining their systems wasn't very efficient because staff had to be knowledgeable across a fairly high number of systems, and this also made planning their technology upgrades an overly complex exercise, and those were some of the things that they were looking to address through this project. As an example of that, they had DECT cordless phone system solutions at each of their sites, but there are a number of different flavours of the DECT solutions, and that complicated the administration and maintenance functions. There are also quite a few different nurse call solutions or platforms that they integrated into the telephony side of things in various different ways. The integration possibilities were limited, and deploying an enterprise wireless LAN allowed consolidation of the cordless handsets to a single model, which was now a Wi-Fi solution, which is more sophisticated than DECT, and it also provided them a platform that supported a variety of applications that just weren't possible previously. RFBI's vision was to be a healthcare technology leader, and the goal was to provide an ecosystem of technologies that utilise a common Wi-Fi infrastructure, and that was essentially aimed in an overall picture or a goal of taking advantage of these new technologies to streamline their workflows, and that would allow staff to spend more time with the residents and improve the quality of care for those residents. Some of the outcomes that resulted from the project included nurses using tablets to wirelessly access this iCare electronic patient management system that they use, so accessing electronic health records on a mobile device, so when they visit a resident in their bed or wherever they may be throughout the facility, they can access information about the resident, their care plan, their medication plan, update notes. They don't constantly have to be walking back to a central point like a nurse's station with a fixed computer to locate physical charts and make notes. So they're actually able to conduct their job wherever they are on the floor and while they're sitting next to the resident who they're assisting at the time. They're also looking at deploying a medical management system or medication management system as a component of the iCare that again relies on the Wi-Fi, and that's designed to save time as well as reduce the risk of errors. So in addition to what they have already deployed, because they've got a wireless LAN platform that supports all these enterprise applications, they're also looking to build on that going forward. Another real benefit for them was to simplify their administration and management of their systems. Now that they've got a much more consolidated environment, it makes supporting and administering the solutions that they have from a central location a very simple task, and something that's really benefited them in an efficiency standpoint as well. One of the key drivers at a technology level and a key outcome of the project was the deployment of enterprise voice over Wi-Fi. So moving away from DEC towards a Wi-Fi voice solution, and that allows nurses to stay in touch with each other while they're moving around the facility and interacting with the nurse call system in a more sophisticated way, as we mentioned, than the DEC handsets could. Another aspect was resident internet access, because basically the expectations of residents in relation to technology have changed, and the CIO of RFBI was quite advanced in his vision of that and seeing that happening. So basically, you know, as aged care in Australia transitions towards a consumer-directed care, and also having the first wave of baby boomers come into aged care, and they're users that are accustomed to using email and accessing the internet, and so RFBI recognised early on that aged care providers need to be in a position to provide those services. So things like Skyping their family overseas, keeping up with the news, communicating using various communication platforms that the internet offers is also a key design aspect of what they were looking to achieve. And as well as that, having that being delivered in a secure way, so using network access controls for secure onboarding of residents and their devices, and making sure that they can keep that traffic completely separate from their corporate network. And that gives them a mechanism to ensure that their essential services are always taking priority, not being compromised by residents also utilising the wireless LAN. So how does it look in a practical sense in terms of the pre-sales stage? I guess the starting point is always a detailed discussion that allows us to get a solid understanding of the customer's needs and their goals and know exactly what they're trying to achieve. And then once we've got this information, we clearly document it, so we're working to a specific outcome. Once we've got that knowledge, we do a survey, which allows us to provide a bill of materials for a wireless LAN opportunity and provides us a means to generate a budgetary quote. And that then allows the partners to give their customer a very accurate indication of the cost of the project, even though that might be for a site where the construction hasn't even started yet. So predictive site surveys fulfill that task, but they also are useful for existing sites that don't have a wireless LAN currently, or maybe they're changing their wireless LAN usage scenario, integrating some extra applications on top of that, that need us to essentially resurvey and redeploy or re-engineer that wireless LAN to become suitable for those applications. Another one that I've used it for in recent times was a builder of aged care facilities basically like to specify the locations of wireless access points themselves, even though they don't really have any knowledge about wireless infrastructure. So you essentially end up with a builder that's marked wireless access points on a plan of the building, and I guess hoping that that coverage is suitable for the application that the customer is looking to run. So we could take plans from that sort of example, feed them into our professional site survey tool, and validate that the coverage that the builder has essentially designed is going to support the application that the customer is looking to run, and adjust as necessary. So we can advise, no, that's it's not correct. We need to add access points here, here, and here to bolster that. In the particular case I'm talking about, the cabling had already been run, so it presented a little bit of a challenge. But the important thing is we were able to validate that and get that corrected prior to the deployment of the technology itself. So we always use, as Alan mentioned, Ekahau Site Survey Pro. So it's a professional software tool for performing predictive site surveys. To do that, we've got multiple devices or laptops that we have dedicated to that function, and that's there for us to provide these site surveys, whether that's predictive or live. This is a complementary service that we offer to our channel partners again, to assist them in winning business. All that we require to go forth in that is a set of accurate site plans, preferably we like to get these possible, and then we'll also need some basic information about the proposed usage case for that site. And then from all that we can generate a professional report that you can represent to your customer as a way to demonstrate your capabilities and knowledge to them. And I just wanted to give you a view of a site survey report that was part of the RFBI rollout for one of their sites. So essentially this is what you'd end up with once you provide us site plans and a bit of information. The site survey tool would feed all that in. We mark out the specifics of the building and the construction, materials, etc. We specify the parameters that we want based on the application, in this case voice, and then with all that information the site survey tool provides us an output that allows us to accurately scope the site for wireless coverage, and that also reports on a number of outcomes, whether that's signal strength, signal to noise ratio, throughput, etc. And once we've got that right in the survey and we've plotted our APs and adjusted as necessary, we'll produce a report such as this, pass that on to yourself, and you can then pass that back to your customer, and that's a really good value add because that shows you're a wireless expert and gives them the confidence in you to go forward and hopefully sign off on the sale. Another of the pre-sales function that we do is an on-site validation, and essentially what we like to do is confirm the results of the predictive site survey there. Predictive site surveys are potentially very accurate. It all comes down to the quality of the information we put into it, such as the site plans and our knowledge of the building materials, and again that's why CAD's fantastic, because that stuff is contained within the CAD file. Otherwise we sort of have to manually map it out and make some assumptions which can sort of impact the accuracy. So regardless, we like to do an on-site validation, again using our professional site software tools, dedicated laptop, a correct external wireless adapter on that laptop to make sure we get the accurate result. We can then fairly quickly and easily validate the site survey report from the predictive and adjust as necessary, and that gives us, I suppose, scope to perform a number of things. So we might use that to, in addition to validating a predictive survey, we might use that to identify Wi-Fi signal gaps or coverage gaps in existing deployments where issues might be evident. It might be re-engineering again a wireless LAN when additional applications are overlaid onto an existing system. So we may then do an on-site survey to identify where we need to run cabling to put our additional access points to bolster that coverage and make it suitable for the new applications that we're adding on top. Data collection for system configuration is really all important. It's a big part of the scoping pre-sales process that we do. If we scope it accurately in the early stages, it's a successful outcome. Wavelength has a custom set of scoping and design documentation for each of our solution sets, including the 40net wireless LAN. We've developed these ourselves, and we use these documents to collect all the necessary data at the relevant stage of the pre-sales process. And that ensures that we've got all the information that we need for the system configuration and the optimization based on the customer's usage scenario. So just to give you a quick look at an example of how that looks, other than what you see in the picture there, this is an example of our 40net/Maru wireless document cache here. We have a look at a few of those documents. We've got our post-survey and customer sign-off, which we'd use after the deployment. We've got some design guide information, and so we'll basically use these documents to collect the information and help us scope the solution. And you can see they get quite detailed depending on which function the document is actually fulfilling. So typically at the certain stage of the sales or pre-sales process or deployment process, when the information is required, we'll then feed this documentation in, get it completed, and go from there. So channel planning, etc. We start off scoping the project as well. We collect all the information we need. We list the people that we're going to be working with, so we can have all our contacts there. And we also get customer sign-off as well. So really important to document everything at all stages of the sale, pre-sales, post-sales, wherever it may be. That's a critical function that we make sure we get that correct. And we make these documents available to our channel partners to assist them in being successful in managing the professional services for their customer and realising the revenue that services can deliver to them. In addition to the sale, obviously there's a lot of money to be made in services, and you don't want to leave any money on the table. So again, in designing and developing these documents and making them available to our channel partners, that's a way we can assist you in being independent to some or all degree in managing all these services yourself. So we're certainly happy to provide these to you on request if you're looking at doing the professional services yourself. Maybe you have your own documents already and you wanted to just have a look at them, see if some of the aspects can be incorporated into what you do. Maybe you don't have any documentation, and this gives you a way to quickly get a documentation set that's going to allow you to go out there and be successful in the services side of things. Project management, we basically assisted the partner and the customer identify the stages of the wireless LAN project from the start, site readiness, for example, auditing the current solutions that they had. Are they suitable to be integrated into the new system? Certain aspects able to be reused. We then obviously go into our documentation and collection of data and understanding what the customer is hoping to achieve, move through the stages we've already discussed, predictive survey, right through to post-implementation testing, user acceptance testing, getting the customer to sign off right through. So it's really an end-to-end cycle that we offer you. On the post-sale side, obviously once everything is connected up and switched on, it doesn't end there. We want to make sure that everything is working correctly. There may be some fine-tuning required. So once RFBI's wireless LAN system was deployed, Wavelength conducted post-implementation health checks. We performed on-site survey with professional site survey tools, as we've said. Because voice over Wi-Fi, and in particular the SpectraLink voice over Wi-Fi solution was a big part of their plans, in addition to using the professional site survey tools to do the post-sales and the health checks, we actually also used those devices at the same time to go and do some health checks and confirm that the coverage, signal noise ratio, throughput, etc. of the system was 100% complete and was then ready to deploy the applications over the top of that system. Once the devices and applications were deployed, we also hooked up our Fortinet/Maru EasyRF network manager system to their wireless LAN controller and used that as a way to conduct a whole lot of diagnostic checks to ensure that the system was ready to go live. So some of the screenshots you can see there is out from the EasyRF Network Manager, which is a dedicated appliance or virtual appliance that really is able to extract a whole lot of information from the wireless LAN system, and not only from the APs and controller but also devices on that network, and gives us a really great way to get the information we need, identify any potential issues, and use that as a base to fine-tune the system to make sure everything is optimized. Best practice is really critical as well. And again, a lot of the time the best practice will come down to what are the applications that you're running on a wireless LAN. Obviously the various usage case scenarios have different needs, different applications have different levels of service that they require, and you know, it can get quite complex because at the end of the day we're talking about running a range of different applications over the same network. So we need to be able to optimize in a way that keeps all the different applications happy and working at their optimal level. So obviously deploying wireless LAN can be a complex task, and the level of complexity will vary depending on use cases. In some cases it's a very basic data only wireless LAN, other times it's a bit more like what we're talking about in the case of RFBI. So with the fact that they wanted to support enterprise voice over Wi-Fi in mind and integrate that with their messaging applications such as their nurse call, it was really critical to implement the best practices specific to that. So, you know, we've got a custom set, well, it's actually the vendors in this case, best practice documentation. We've also got our own, and as the APAC distributor of SpectraLink as well, and as a result having a deep knowledge and experience in that technology, Wavelength ensured that the partner and the customer understood the best practices for those applications, and also ensure that they were implemented to make sure that the wireless LAN is providing the capability that RFBI need to realise their voice over Wi-Fi goal and their other applications goals as well. So if you're looking at deploying enterprise voice over Wi-Fi solutions, Wavelength can advise you on the wireless LAN and the specific application integration, especially if it's voice over Wi-Fi, where we're also well, we are an exclusive distributor for the SpectraLink solution there as well. So we can, in the case of voice over Wi-Fi, we can assist you across the whole spectrum of wireless LAN and voice over Wi-Fi as well. We know very well how to make those systems optimised for really great outcomes on voice over Wi-Fi. System administrator training. RFBI was quite firm in their mind that they wanted their network administrators to be able to do some of the the maintenance and monitoring of their system. They didn't want to manage everything, but certain minor changes, and also more importantly the monitoring capability was something they very much wanted to be hands-on. So we facilitated the network administration team from RFBI in completing what was then the Maru Certified Administrator course, MCA, which is a vendor training program that is specifically geared up towards system administrators. So not necessarily integrators that will be installing it and doing all the services we're talked about, but how do they manage and monitor their own system to a certain level. On top of that, we then tailored and delivered additional training that was specific to the way that RFBI had deployed the wireless LAN solution in their environment. And that was something Wavelength worked with RFBI to understand what they were trying to achieve there, and then we custom built a training program that essentially, I suppose, delved deeper into the areas that they were interested in that may not have been covered in the MCA course, which is sort of covers everything to a certain level. And that allowed the staff to be confident in monitoring the wireless LAN system and performing basic maintenance tasks while leveraging the partner and Wavelength's deep technical knowledge to assist with the more complex administrative tasks that occasionally need to be performed. RFBI has got further plans to utilise the wireless LAN for additional applications. We mentioned some of those. Another one of those is RTLS, so real-time locationing system, and integrating RTLS into their nurse call and voice over Wi-Fi systems so that residents can call for assistance anywhere within the facility, and the staff will know exactly where they are when they need assistance. That's something that hasn't been possible without pressing a wide call point on a wall, next to a bed, in a bathroom, etc. And sometimes that may be out of the resident's reach if they've got limited mobility. So these days there's wearable RTLS, things such as pendants and wristbands, which would allow a resident to signal that they need some assistance even if they're out of reach of a fixed call point on a wall. So that's something that RFBI is looking to address with RTLS on top of their existing systems. So basically in Wavelength, RFBI has got a trusted technology advisor to assist in ensuring that their wireless LAN has been correctly scoped and was prepared to pave the way for successful implementation of RTLS when that project's ready. So in addition to, I could say, the project's complete, they still have future plans to add on to it, and both the partner involved and Wavelength were there to assist them with that. And the great thing is, in having deployed an enterprise 40net wireless LAN, they've got the capability to deliver those applications when the time is right on their existing platform. So hopefully that gave you a bit of an overview of how Wavelength applies the services that we talked about early in the presentation to a real-world usage case and case study, if you like, and how that works in a practical sense throughout that sales cycle, right from the initial knowledge of the opportunity right through to closing out and getting the customer sign-off. So a little bit of information about becoming a Wavelength reseller. In the case of both 40net and Wavelength, there are tiered reseller programs. So that's generally going to be based on the number of sales that you're doing, the value of your sales, and also your certification status. So by being active on the sales front and also investing in the training and certification programs that the vendor offers, you can certainly increase your discount levels and as you climb up through the reseller tiers. So that's both on a vendor and a distributor level. Certification programs, 40net have programs that they've carried over from Maru. There have been a few changes, but as far as being trained and certified, there are programs available for you to become proficient in the wireless LAN solution that we're talking about. And if you want information on those, let us know. We can assist with that. As far as becoming a reseller with Wavelength, it's a simple case of visiting our website and filling out an expression of interest form. That will go to our sales support team. They will then follow up talking to you and providing a reseller application form and assist you in getting that completed and then coming on board as a Wavelength reseller. One of the great things about that is you can access not for resale kit, and that's offered at a very nice price to encourage resellers to develop their knowledge and skills on Fortinet wireless LAN solutions, and also any other Wavelength solutions that you might be interested in that you can add over the top of a Fortinet wireless LAN solution like RFBI have. The key point we want to reiterate to you is that we're here to assist you in developing your sales opportunities and holding your hand as required. You know, it's not always that everyone needs a lot of hand holding, but there might be some aspects of the services that we've discussed that might interest you and allow you to add value to what you're presenting to your customer, and ultimately that's about getting sales, and that's good for us and good for you guys as well. So we want to partner with you on that, and also assisting in deployment could be a part of that as well. We offer a configuration style service. So we definitely encourage those of you who aren't currently on board with us but may be on board with Fortinet to get on board, visit our website and have a look at that expression of interest form, and hopefully becoming a reseller of ours and doing some business with us. So at that point we want to open it up. First of all, thanking you for attending and throwing it open to any questions. So I'm just going to expand our questions box and check if we've got anything there. So it doesn't appear. No questions so far. Been advised, and I can see that here. So hopefully that means that everyone has got a good understanding of the services that we offer and how we like to interact with our partners. Certainly hope that's the case. We're here to assist you with all sorts of things. If you want to get in touch post the webinar, please get in touch with us on that phone number or that email address, or if you know someone internally directly, you can reach out to them. And what we'll do is also make this presentation available as a recording, probably on our YouTube channel. I expect you'll receive an email about that as well. So if you want to refer back at any time, you'll be able to do that. So still haven't got any questions, so I just want to again take the opportunity to thank you for giving up some of your time this morning and attending the presentation, and I hope it was worthwhile for you, and certainly look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Thank you.